Let me ask you something real. Have you ever given too much of yourself, your truth, your heart? Ended up feeling empty? Not because you were weak, but because you forgot your power. Because you forgot your power. Because somewhere along the way, you started believing that love means full access. Let me break that lie today. There are things a woman must never ever give away. Not because she's hiding something, but because her power demands protection. And when you share the wrong things with the wrong man, you don't just lose a relationship, you lose yourself. So listen closely. Listen closely. Because this could change everything. Every woman has her own silent battles, the kind that live deep beneath the surface, far from the eyes of the world. We carry them in our hearts, in our thoughts, in the way we move through each day. And when you meet someone who seems different, who seems kind, who seems like he just might be the one, there's this urge, an urge to be fully seen, to be fully known, to share it all, especially the parts that hurt, especially the places that still ache. But here's the truth. Your insecurities are not meant to be handed over like gifts. They are not currency for closeness. They are not confessions that prove your loyalty. They are sacred, and sacred things require protection. Because when you share your insecurities with a man too soon, before trust is built, before his character is clear, you are taking the most fragile pieces of your soul and placing them in uncertain hands, and uncertain hands will always fumble. It doesn't matter how soft his voice sounds or how patient he seems. If a man has not earned your truth, he cannot be trusted with your wounds. And that's when damage happens. That's when words you spoke in a moment of vulnerability come back as weapons. That's when something you shared to feel closer is twisted into something that makes you feel small. You need to understand this. Your insecurities are not flaws. They are battlefields. And you are a survivor. You've walked through fires others wouldn't even dare step near. And those scars, they're proof that you didn't just make it, you transformed. So when you speak about your pain, let it come from a place of power, not pleading. Don't offer up your past as a way to be loved. That's not love, that's survival. And you're done surviving. You're ready to rise. A healed woman speaks of her wounds like a warrior. She doesn't need pity. She doesn't need fixing. She doesn't need someone to carry her. She carries herself. And when she chooses to open up, because yes, you will share, one day, it's not to be saved. It's to be understood. Vulnerability, when shared with wisdom, becomes strength. But vulnerability, when used as a shortcut to intimacy, becomes self-sabotage. Because not every connection is meant to go deep. Some are just surface level. And you'll know which is which, not by how they look at you, but by how they show up for you. So let your strength speak first. Let your presence enter the room before your pain does. Let a man get to know the woman you've become, not just the girl you used to be. Because if he can't love the fire in you, he has no business learning about the flames that shaped you. Your story isn't just about what broke you. It's about how you built yourself back. That's what deserves to be seen. That's what deserves to be honored. And only a real man, one with his own depth, his own scars, his own healing, can meet you there. You owe it to yourself to wait. To what? Not out of fear, but out of power. Because a woman who doesn't bleed her truth too quickly is not cold. She's conscious. She's choosing. She's protecting the most valuable thing she owns, her soul. And until a man proves that he knows how to hold it with care, with consistency, with courage, he doesn't get to see it. Not yet. Not yet. Not ever. You are not a blueprint to be unfolded and explained. You are not a set of instructions that needs decoding. It's everything. And when you reveal your vision too soon, before a man has shown consistency, discipline, and real presence, you invite someone into your sacred space who hasn't earned a seat there. A man who hears your dream too early might nod and smile and say all the right things, but that doesn't mean he sees it. It doesn't mean he's committed to walking with you through it. Don't mistake interest for investment. Don't confuse attention for alignment. Just because he listens doesn't mean he's capable of carrying the weight of what you're building. And when you begin to picture him next to you in that future, before he's even proven who he is in the present, you're already handing over power that should have stayed with you. He's not part of the foundation, and yet you start building like he is. And that's where dreams begin to crumble. Your vision needs protection because it's connected to your purpose. And your purpose is not up for negotiation. It is not flexible. It is not a shared playground for people to explore and then walk away from when it gets inconvenient. You were given that calling for a reason, and not every man has the capacity to honor it. Some will be intimidated by it. Some will try to reshape it. And some will pretend to support it, just long enough to keep you close, only to ask you to shrink it later. And that moment when you feel the need to choose between love and your purpose, that should never come, but it will if you invite the wrong person in too early. You don't share your vision as a way to be loved. You don't offer your dream as a test to see if he's the one. That's not strategy. That's self-sabotage. Let him prove who he is outside of your purpose first. Watch how he handles your presence before you let him near your passion. Does he support you when no one's watching? Does he celebrate your growth without feeling smaller? Does he understand that your power isn't a threat, it's a gift? He can't love the woman you are now without needing to be part of your dream. He has no business being in your future. There is something deeply powerful about a woman who holds her vision close, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. She knows what she's building, and she's not looking for validation. She's looking for alignment. She's not trying to impress. She's trying to discern. When you protect your vision, you send a message. This is not a fantasy. This is real. And if you're not real, you don't get to be part of it. That kind of clarity doesn't push people away. It filters them. It keeps the dream killers out and the purpose-driven partners in. And that's what you need. And that's what you need. That's what you deserve. Let your vision grow in silence. Let it breathe in peace. Let it be yours until someone has shown, over time, that they are consistent enough, committed enough, and grounded enough to build with you. Not for you, with you, with you, with you. Because when the right man shows up, he won't just admire your fire. He'll bring wood for the flames. But until then, let your vision remain sacred. Let it remain whole. let it remain yours. Your past is not a confession. It's not a confession. It's not a debt you owe to any man who shows you a little attention. Too many women feel obligated to unpack everything they've been through, every heartbreak, every betrayal, every mistake, as if revealing their history will somehow justify their worth. But your past is not an entry fee. It's not a loyalty badge. It's a testimony. And testimonies are sacred. They don't belong to everyone. They belong to those who've shown they can hold them with reverence, not curiosity. Because your past isn't just about what happened. It's about who you became because of it. There's this pressure, especially in new relationships, to lay it all out. To be transparent, open, vulnerable. And yes, vulnerability is beautiful, but only when it's safe, when it's mutual, when it's earned. Sharing your past with a man before he's proven emotional maturity isn't openness, it's exposure. And exposure without safety is dangerous. You end up bleeding emotionally in front of someone who may never have the capacity to understand, let alone support what you've walked through. And that doesn't just hurt, it destabilizes you. Because now, someone who hasn't even built a future with you is holding the power to judge your past. Your past is not shameful, but it is private. Not because you're hiding anything, but because some chapters require maturity to read. Some chapters demand spiritual depth to interpret, and you can't hand that book to someone who only skims pages. He needs to sit with it, reflect on it, see you through it, not just react to the words. When you rush to tell a man about your past pain, hoping he'll accept you, you're forgetting something vital. The right man won't need all the details to honor your growth. He'll feel it in the way you carry yourself, or recognize it in your strength. And when you do choose to share, he won't flinch, because he was ready. Some women reveal their pasts because they fear rejection. If I tell him everything now, he'll either leave or stay. At least I'll know. But that's not power. That's fear disguised as honesty. And fear should never drive connection. When you share your history too quickly, you give someone the blueprint to trigger your insecurities. Not every man will do it intentionally, but if he's not equipped, he'll mishandle your truth. He'll say things that cut deep without realizing their scars. And worse, some men will use it against you, subtly, manipulatively, in moments of conflict. And suddenly, the very thing you share to build closeness becomes the thing that builds distance. There's also the illusion that being fully transparent means being lovable. That if he knows how much you've suffered, he'll appreciate you more. That if he hears the pain behind your smile, he'll hold you tighter. But love built on sympathy is not real love. Love, rooted in pity, turns into protection, not partnership. You don't need someone to rescue you. You need someone who sees the queen after the storm and respects her reign. Let him fall in love with who you are now before ever learning what it took to become her. That's how you know his love is real. Hold your past like the crown it is. Not because it was easy, but because it made you royal. Let your experiences be your strength, not your opening story. Let the details unfold when the foundation is strong enough to carry them. When you meet someone who truly sees you, not just your beauty, but your backbone, you'll know. And in that moment, when you do choose to open the door to your past, It won't be for approval. It will be for connection. And that makes all the difference. Your boundaries are not up for debate. And one of the most sacred boundaries a woman can hold is her intuition. That deep quiet, knowing inside her that senses energy, detects intention, and feels truth before it's ever spoken. But too often, women are told to explain that intuition, to justify it, to defend it. And let me tell you right now, you never owe a man an explanation for what your spirit knows. That feeling in your gut, that unease in your chest, that moment of hesitation that you can't quite put into words, that is not something you need to translate. It is something you need to trust. Men are taught to value logic, to look for facts, to demand reasons. And if you're not careful, you'll find yourself in situations where you start doubting your own inner compass because you can't explain it in a way that sounds irrational. But your wisdom isn't always logical. It's ancient. It's emotional. It's rooted in generations of women before you who had to feel their way through danger, through betrayal, through the unknown. That instinct you carry is not weakness, it's survival. And the moment you start offering it up for debate, you disconnect from your deepest power. A real man won't challenge your intuition. He'll respect it. He may not always understand it, but he won't ask you to abandon it just to make him comfortable. Because when a man truly values you, he values how you think, how you feel, and how you protect yourself. But a man who feels threatened by your inner knowing will constantly try to chip away at it. He'll ask, why do you feel that way? Not because he cares, but because he wants to control the narrative. And slowly, without even realizing it, you'll begin explaining yourself away. You'll silence the voice that's always been your greatest guide. Never give that voice up. Never let someone gaslight you into believing that your feelings are too much, or irrational, or emotional. Emotional intelligence is a superpower, and you've got it in full. The woman who trusts her intuition walks differently. She enters rooms with clarity. She moves through relationships with awareness. She doesn't need proof, because she's already felt the truth. And when that truth says something is off, you listen. You don't wait for evidence. You don't wait to be heard. You honor that whisper before it becomes a scream. You don't need to explain your boundaries either. You don't need to say why you don't feel comfortable doing something. No is a complete sentence. That doesn't feel right to me is more than enough. And if a man presses, if he questions, if he pushes against that line, you already have your answer. You don't need to convince someone of your worth by allowing them past your limits. Your boundaries are not walls. They're not walls. They're doors. And only the right ones get a key. They can watch from the outside. That's not cruelty. That's clarity. That's choosing yourself. So when a man asks for access to your energy, your body, your time, your peace, he doesn't get to challenge your no just because he doesn't like it. You're not responsible for his comfort. You're responsible for your own safety, for your own sanity, for your own self-respect. And if protecting that makes you seem a too guarded, a too closed off, or a too independent, then so be it. Because the right one will never see your boundaries as barriers. He'll see them as the map to something rare, something real, something worth respecting. There is a certain type of silence that isn't weakness, it's wisdom. And when it comes to your financial reality, that silence can be powerful. Because your money, how you earn it, how you spend it, how you save it, is not public property. It's not a topic for casual conversation with a man who hasn't earned your trust, your respect, or your future. Too many women are quick to share their financial status as a sign of transparency, loyalty, or keeping it real. But financial vulnerability isn't something you toss on the table to build connection. It's something you protect because it's deeply tied to your independence, your choices, and your power. Money has energy. It holds the story of every risk you've taken, every sacrifice you've made, every moment you chose discipline over distraction. Whether you're thriving financially or still building, your relationship with money is personal. And when a woman shares too much, too fast, whether it's how much she makes, what she owns, or what she owes, she invites judgment, expectation, and sometimes manipulation. A man who knows your financial strengths before he knows your emotional boundaries may start to see your value through the lens of what you can provide, not who you are. And that's not partnership, that's possession. There are men who will hear that you're doing well, and suddenly their interest will shift, not because they see your soul, but because they see opportunity. And it's subtle. He might admire your drive, cheer you on. But behind that support, he's already thinking about how your resources could make his life easier. That somehow revealing financial hardship early on will weed out the wrong men. But here's the truth. Your financial status is not your identity. It's not your value. And it should never be used as a litmus test for love. A man who truly honors you will walk beside you, regardless of the numbers. But you don't need to lead with lack or with wealth to find that man. You lead with character. Your money story is yours to tell when you're ready and only if it serves you. Not to impress and not to prove anything. Because whether you're stacking six figures or just learning how to manage your budget, what matters is how you move with it. Are you in control? Are you learning? Building? That's the power. Not the dollar amount. Not the car you drive or the vacations you take. But the discipline, the vision, and the mindset behind every decision. And that power doesn't need an audience. It needs protection. So don't rush to reveal your financial cards. Don't let anyone guilt you into sharing what you're not ready to. Whether you're thriving or surviving, it's no one's business until they've proven they're building something with you, not just benefiting from what you've built. Your money, like your mind and your heart, is sacred, and sacred things, they don't get handed out on the first date. They get earned through consistency, loyalty, and time. Until then, keep it close, keep it quiet, and most of all, keep it yours, you said. There is a certain type of silence that isn't weakness, it's wisdom. And when it comes to your financial reality, that silence can be powerful. Because your money, how you earn it, how you spend it, how you save it, is not public property. It's not a topic for casual conversation with a man who hasn't earned your trust, your respect, or your future. Too many women are quick to share their financial status as a sign of transparency, loyalty, or keeping it real. But financial vulnerability isn't something you toss on the table to build connection. It's something you protect because it's deeply tied to your independence, your choices, and your power. Money has energy. It holds the story of every risk you've taken, every sacrifice you've made, every moment you chose discipline over distraction. Whether you're thriving financially or still building, your relationship with money is personal. And when a woman shares too much, too fast, whether it's how much she makes, what she owns, or what she owes, she invites judgment, expectation, and sometimes manipulation. A man who knows your financial strengths before he knows your emotional boundaries may start to see your value through the lens of what you can provide, not who you are. And that's not partnership. That's possession. Oh. There are men who will hear that you're doing well, and suddenly their interest will shift. Not because they see your soul, but because they see opportunity. And it's subtle. He might admire your drive, cheer you on, but behind that support, he's already thinking about how your resources could make his life easier. That's not love, that's strategy. And unless you're watching closely, you'll mistake it for devotion. But real love doesn't depend on numbers in a bank account. Real love sees the woman, not the wallet. On the flip side, there are women who feel shame around their finances. Maybe they're in debt. Maybe they're rebuilding. Maybe they've made choices they're not proud of. And they think by sharing that struggle up front, they're being honest. That somehow revealing financial hardship early on will weed out the wrong men. But here's the truth. Your financial status is not your identity. It's not your value. And it should never be used as a litmus test for love. A man who truly honors you will walk beside you, regardless of the numbers. But you don't need to lead with lack or with wealth to find that man. You lead with character